Welcome to class. This is our first class. Some of you have had me before, so you know that I'm very hard. So you have to be ready to be disciplined. This is the course on Islam. So I welcome you, and I welcome our students that are studying on the internet as well. We offered a version of this course last year, and this year we'll be going in a little bit different direction as we take a look at the course. It should be introductory, but nevertheless we're going to put it into a global framework. So it'll be understanding Islam on a global basis, not just understanding Islam as a religion together. A very, very important subject today, especially if you're what we call a world Christian, one who has interest in the whole world, as well as interest in making Jesus known to the whole world. We obviously are Christians, and we believe that Jesus Christ has something to offer that is good news to our friends who have chosen to follow the path of Islam. It's very important for us to tell them that the gospel of Jesus is good news, not bad news. It's only bad news if you reject it. And so it is our desire to make him known among Muslims in the world today. Now, Islam is the second largest religion in the world. So obviously it's important to study it. What is the first largest religion in the world? Christianity is. But of course, not everybody who follows Christianity as their religion is really a true believer. Islam, though not as large as Christianity, has many who do not follow it very closely also. So, we don't want to give the impression that everybody is the same in the way they follow their faith. So we'll try in this class to show you the differences between what we believe and they believe, but also try to speak about what a true Muslim or a good Muslim does with what he believes. But don't think everybody is equally as active or zealous about his faith as some are. Obviously, in the world today, there are many who are terrorists who follow Islam. Is in the newspaper often, and it is often spoken of negatively because of the few who are what we call jihadists, or those who follow terrorist activities. Now, that probably is no more than maybe 5% of all of the Muslims of the world. So not all Muslims are terrorists. You need to understand that. But both the terrorists and other Muslims believe many of the same things. So we will try to be fair in our discussion about Islam. And of course, we will invite your questions as we go along. Now, before I have prayer with you as we start our class, let me just give you a brief bit of my background. I began working with Muslims half a century ago. That's a long time ago, isn't it? So, I have considerable experience working with Muslims. I still work with Muslims trying to share Jesus Christ. Most often, I'm working with former Muslims, those who have left Islam to follow Jesus Christ. And so I work with them in issues related to what we call discipleship or growth. So you will find, as you're here at Olivet, that sometimes Dr. Tallman isn't here. He's somewhere in the world, and he's doing something related to Islam. I was a missionary in the true sense of the word when the word missionary was acceptable. Today it is not acceptable in Muslim country. There were historical things that changed all of that, and so my time in the Muslim world, as we call it, was about 7 years living with my family in North Africa. So that was the beginning of my full-time missionary career. So that's a long time ago, but I make many trips back to that part of the world and also to other parts of the world where Muslims are. So I'm active by God's grace, still alive, and still sharing Jesus with Muslims. And I have seen many changes. And this is a very unique time, I think, for you to be studying Islam. Because what we call the Islamic world or the Muslim world is changing dramatically. The people of the Arab part of the Muslim world, North Africa, the Middle East in particular, are in the process right now of making their voices known and expressing the sadness of their heart over the way they have been treated by their own governments. And so there are many, and you see it in the news and hear it on news reports today, who are speaking up and standing up against the governments that have persecuted them. Now, those same governments often persecute Christians, but they have also persecuted their own people. And sooner or later, if a government persecutes its people, the people eventually will respond or change. So that's the theme of what is going on across the Muslim world today, and I will refer to it often, particularly as news events capture what is happening. Just in January, I was with several Christians who had come out of Tunisia and Egypt as well for a conference of Christian believers. There were many. At the very moment that we were meeting, revolutions were taking place, both in Tunisia and in Egypt. Now, today, those revolutions are picking up speed, momentum, and are taking place all across all of the countries of that region. And so it's a very unstable time, and everybody wants to know what's going to happen, what's going to happen. And so while we are studying, history is changing. It's very important. And understanding Islam will help you understand what is happening. And you, like me, want to understand because you want to bring good news that Jesus sets people free with His Word. And so we will focus on that because that is how we as Christians look at the world where people have different worldview than what we have.